Hi guys, this is GSMDome and I'm here with a review of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. So what's new this year? In a nutshell, there's a new ultra-wide camera, there's a new processor, and the design has changed a bit. Rounded corners, slimmer design, lighter phone, and also narrower. Aside from that, I would say it keeps pretty much the same specs as the predecessor. Almost forgot, the screen is now bigger. 6.9 inches instead of 6.8 inches. Plus some extras for creators when it comes to the camera. I'm talking about the log capture, the variable aperture, and sound eraser. That's just some examples. So let's get straight to the review. Now, design-wise, the handset seems to continue on the Galaxy Note spirit while also keeping elements of the S24 Ultra. The camera, for example, looks pretty much the same, although the lenses seem to protrude a bit more. Perhaps because the phone is now slimmer at 8.2mm in thickness compared to the predecessor's 8.6mm in thickness. It also weighs 218 grams, while the predecessor weighed 232 grams. It's also narrower at 77.6mm compared to 79mm. The frame is titanium grade 5, the backside is covered with glass, matte glass that doesn't draw fingerprints, and the front side is protected with Gorilla Armor 2. As I said before, we have narrower bezels now, the diagonal has increased, and color options include titanium silver blue, which is the one we have, titanium black, white silver, gray, green, pink gold. Now, I would say the phone is pretty easy to handle on account of the flat frame, the rounded corners, and the flat backside. It's got IP68 certification, taking water and dust in stride. As far as the screen is concerned, what we're getting here is a larger screen compared to the S24 Ultra. It increases from 6.8 inches to 6.9. It uses a dynamic AMOLED LTPO 2X screen with 120Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus support, and up to 2600 nits of brightness. The resolution is 3120 over 1440 pixels, and the default one is around Full HD Plus, so you have to set it up from the settings. Now let's actually watch a video and see how the screen handles it. Okay, so this is set video. Of course you can do this. It's a very immersive experience, I have to say, with a very bright and crisp screen. It's got an anti-reflection protection which works wonders in the sun. That's a novelty compared to the S24 Ultra. It's got bright and vivid colors, wide view angles as you can see for yourself, excellent blacks, deep blacks. However, this screen shows millions of colors, while Xiaomi, for example, moved on to 10-bit or 12-bit panels which show billions of colors. So yeah, there's that. Now let's see the results of the tests we did. We have them here. When it comes to the brightness, we used the lux meter and we measured 1322 lux units. It's a pretty respectable score, placed 10th from the 600 phones we've tested. It's below the likes of Pixel 8 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL, and Realme GT 7 Pro, but surpasses Oppo Find X8 Pro, OnePlus 13, Honor Magic 6 Pro, and Magic 5 Pro. So that's that. Of course, there are a lot of settings for the screen, which you can find here. Adaptive brightness, extra brightness for the sun, motion smoothness, which is this one, as well as adaptive color tone, and screen modes, vivid, natural, and white balance settings with advanced as well, and vividness, which was implemented last year when the S24 Ultra screen wasn't vivid enough. And the resolution, as I said before, default it's Full HD+, but you can go to Quad HD+. That's enough about the screen. Let's talk about the hardware, CPU, innards. Okay, so obviously for a while now, Samsung has been going with a Qualcomm processor. This is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite, 3nm, and it's using, as you can see, Orion cores, not ARM ones. And that's pretty interesting because it's a special for Galaxy version. It's clocked at 4.47 GHz compared to the one Snapdragon 8 Elite used on the Asus ROG Phone 9 Pro, which is clocked at 4.32 GHz. So it's a clocked higher than other phones using the same CPU. We also have here, if we get rid of the commercial, I can show the quantity of RAM, which is 12 gigs. There are versions out there with 16 in some countries, LPDDR5X by the way. And we also have storage, which is 256 gigabytes of storage. There are versions with 512 gigabytes or even 1 terabyte. It's UFS 4.0. I did not notice any overheating in games, any problem whatsoever, any stutter, but you will see that there was a bit of throttling here. So we go to the benchmarks, throttling test. We lost 38% performance when doing this, which is not impressive after 15 minutes of test. The application is CPU throttling test. and that's not very good. So it suffers from throttling, trying to keep the temperature down. S24 Ultra was around the same margin with 36% lost. OnePlus 13 loses 13% and Asus ROG Phone 9 Pro 19%. When it comes to the Antutu test, here we are on the 5th spot, just above the ROG Phone 8 Pro, Xiaomi 14T Pro, and surpassing the likes of Galaxy S24 Ultra and OnePlus 12. We're below the OnePlus 13, Oppo Find X8 Pro, and ROG Phone 9 Pro by quite a bit. Now, when it comes to the Geekbench 6 multicore, second placed in the multicore and single core, only beaten by an iPhone 16 and the ROG Phone 9 Pro. 3D Mark is also here, with the first spot in 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme, fourth spot in Slingshot, first spot here, so it's generally top 3, top 5 material with a very solid GPU. Now, if you're wondering about the temperature, we go here. In benchmarks, we achieved 43.8 degrees Celsius, which means there's a bit of overheating, while in games we achieved 33.3 degrees Celsius, which means the temperature was kept in check pretty well. Now, the phone, as you can see here, has a 5000 mAh battery, just like its predecessor, keeps the same charging at 45 watts. It also has 15 watts wireless charging, but this time a new standard is QI 2.0, which helps align magnetically the wireless accessories better. It also charges other devices wirelessly at 4.5 watts. Okay, so let's see how the battery did in our tests. A hugely impressive result here when it comes to the video playback. We achieved 31 hours and 7 minutes of continuous HD video playback. The Galaxy S24 Ultra before it offered 27 hours and 46 minutes. We're on the 6th spot. Among the 600 phones we've tested, we surpassed Asus ROG Phone 9 Pro, OnePlus 13 and iPhone 16 Pro Max. We're below the Oppo Find X8 Pro, Honor Magic 6 Pro and iPhone 16 Plus. Continuous usage isn't as impressive, but still quite impressive, 15 hours and 52 minutes. Slightly better than the S24 Ultra, which had 15 hours and 43 minutes. It's above the Pixel 9 Pro XL and Galaxy S24 Fan Edition, but below the OnePlus 13 and Asus ROG Phone 9 Pro with the same CPU. They are about 3-4 hours higher. Charging requires 55 minutes from 0 to 100%, and you do not get a charger in the box. After 15 minutes, you're at 41%. After 30 minutes, you're at 75%, which should be good enough for 1 day of functioning. Now, aside from that, I should also mention that the acoustics are taken care of with this slot here and the almost invisible earpiece at the top side. As usual for Samsung, they're providing lots of settings when it comes to tweaks. Dolby Atmos, equalizer, boost dialog, loudness normalization, and all of these channels to play with. Now let's listen to some tunes here on our sample site. As you can see, I'm covering a part of the speaker, and that I would say fades out some of the sound. The volume is quite impressive, I would say higher than the predecessor. Plenty of bass, plenty of high notes. Beware of metal song, there may be some distortion here and there. The button speaker is much more powerful than the top one, keep that in mind. We also have some figures here for you, so if you go to the testing, you go to the volume power, 85.7 decibels at the top and a huge 96 decibels at the bottom. Third place, only surpassed by Oppo Reno 6 and Huawei Nova 13 Pro, surpassing the predecessor by 10 decibels or even more. Now, in the multimedia test, which is gaming, we achieved 99.5 decibels. Usually our threshold is 100. Now, the S24 Ultra had 101, but I would dare to say this is a more satisfying stereo experience. So yeah, pretty good, I would say, when it comes to the acoustics. They're tuned by AKG, just so you know. And now we move on to the camera. Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra keeps at its core the same photo setup as the predecessor, but only changes the ultra-wide camera. So let's start with the selfie sensor, which is here, and it's unchanged from the S24 Ultra. 12 megapixel f2.2 aperture, 4K 60 frames per second, HDR10+, a very small cutout. At the back side, the camera design is the same. Protruding lenses are, well, more protruding. The main sensor remains the same 200 megapixel shooter, f1.7 aperture, optical image stabilization, multi-directional phase detection autofocus. Then we have the telephoto camera, the 10 megapixel one with 3x optical zoom and f2.4 aperture plus PDAF and optical image stabilization. And then we have the periscope telephoto camera, which has 50 megapixel resolution, f3.4 aperture, optical image stabilization, and 5x optical zoom plus PDAF, and well, that's about it. So 5x optical zoom, S24 Ultra 5x as well, S23 Ultra had 10x optical zoom. rumors say that next year we're going to get a periscope 200 megapixel camera. The novelty is actually the ultra wide camera. It's a 50 megapixel shooter compared to the 12 megapixel of the S24 Ultra. f1.9 aperture, which is more generous, 120-degree capture, and super steady filming up to 2K 60 frames per second. There's a LED, there is a laser focus mechanism here and the LED flash here. Filming is up to 8K 30 frames per second. You can do that with the three cameras here, main, ultra wide and telephoto 50 megapixel. Plus we have stereo, audio capture and 10-bit HDR filming. Now the camera interface has received a few changes. It feels like it's more minimalistic now and includes the likes of night, hyperlapse, pro video, slow motion, single take. Single take has now new modes and new captures. Pro, panorama, dual recording, expert raw, and expert raw comes with a novelty as well. You can mess around with the aperture. Of course, it's variable aperture of the virtual variety, not the physical one. And then we have food mode, portrait video. This is the video capture department, and this is the super steady, as I said before, up to 2K 60 frames per second. You have the options here, the resolution, the aspect, the stabilization. This is the photo department. Also with some options here. It includes beautification features. It includes a bunch of pretty cute looking filters with setups for the contrast, color temperature, saturation and more. Okay, and exposure can be set up from here. You can take shots in 12 megapixels, 50 or 200 megapixels. Also have portrait with its variety of filters and modes, blur, studio, high key mono, color point, low key mono, and so forth. Okay, another novelty is that if you go here to the Pro Video, you can shoot in log format. So shooting in log results in a gray video. You can do post-processing and colorization on your PC afterwards. You also have a lot of setups here for exposure monitor and audio sources, including via USB or various microphones. Okay, getting past all that, I should also mention that there's a feature here which lets you choose the best face of a person in a group which smiled with the best face feature. Now, here we are with a gallery of shots. We have a lot to talk about. Some of the key aspects of these 542 photos are the close-ups and the macros. This is a flower, early spring flower, captured in a very majestic way. It feels like it's superior to what an iPhone 16 Pro Max could do in a similar situation. So when it comes to close-ups, I noticed an improvement compared to the S24 Ultra and compared to the iPhone. Excellent color of the sky, even with the sun in front of us, which is pretty amazing. Usually phones and even cameras have problem where they're facing the sun. Now the sky color here is excellent, have to say that. Going further, we have here several zoom tests, but also close-ups. You can even see a plane in the sky if you go with a crazy zoom like 100x. But there are better examples further on. A thing I noticed here is the texture. So thanks to the new ISP of the processor, you're going to have improved texture in all objects you're going to photograph. So once again, zoom test. So this is the regular distance. We started zooming in onto that person on the bridge. This is something like 3x, this is 5x, 10x, 20x, 50x, and here we are. You can definitely see it's a woman with blonde hair. Couldn't see that if it weren't for the zoom. And we also photographed a bunch of pigeons, actually quite a lot of pigeons if you're looking throughout the gallery, but the colors were spot on every time. Compared to the recently tested Huawei Mate X6, the colors are a bit colder, more pragmatic and realistic. The ones from the Huawei, which is a landmark for us here, are warmer, just a little bit. These are several finesse details from moving objects captured with the zoom. I would say the zoom has improved compared to the S24 Ultra, especially when it comes to moving objects and objects that are far. So this is the actual distance of the building with the logo on top, and we started zooming in, and things remain crisp even at 10x or even at 20x. So that's quite fine. Okay, so selfies. I have to say, if I were to give this phone a crown or a medal, it would be definitely for the selfies. The best looking selfies I've ever seen. I feel I've said that about the OnePlus 13, Pixel 9 Pro, iPhone 16 Pro, S24. Samsung continues to have the best selfie camera for vloggers and content creators. There's never a miss here. Perfect bokeh, perfect face texture, perfect details, perfect clarity. So nothing is lacking when it comes to the selfies, and we have quite a few of them, as you can see for yourself here. Excellent lighting of the face, excellent shades, not a lot of beautification going on. It's a pretty honest camera, and even the background looks fine, which is usually overexposed on some other phones. And as I said before, once again, the close-ups and the macros are evolved from the S24 series as well as the iPhone 16 series. Just a few examples here. Plus the colors are kept in check, and we usually capture a fence which is multicolored, and here you can actually see this yellow is different from this yellow. Most phones I've used, even flagships, have the same shade of yellow for the two areas of the fence. This one has a larger color palette. Okay, so I would say this is pretty much it as far as the daytime is concerned. My favorite shots, believe it or not, are those ones of the street lamp, which is even highlighted in spite of it being a very difficult subject because it has transparency, and still it was very well cut from the background. So recently I named the Huawei Mate X6 the best camera phone of 2025. Right now the S25 Ultra tends to surpass it, and this is daytime capture. Let's go now to the low light capture. We start off with a restaurant. This is ginger tea, captured in an excellent manner when it comes to texture. A very difficult scenario. This was a very intimate, date-like restaurant with not much light, so yeah, we had to face adverse scenario. And still, the food texture is excellent. I have to admit, I have not used the special food mode. I relied on AI and the default mode, and we have excellent focus and a lot of detail. Here we focused on the fries, and here we focused on the burger, with excellent results. A few more courses. So if you're a food vlogger or blogger, this phone is definitely for you, and definitely better than what an iPhone 16 Pro Max can achieve. Trust me, I have one, and it struggles to focus on food. It's not everything perfect. This was a darker restaurant, and there's much more noise here compared to the previous shots. I have to mention that. So you can see here the noise clearly and the darker images. Okay, we move outside. And I have to say, I would say we're pretty much on par with the S24 Ultra, perhaps with improved zoom. You can actually tell what's happening here in this building. You can see the icons of this church better at advanced zoom. So basically the advanced zoom is the only highlight here. I'm actually a bit disappointed by the low light selfies. If there's not enough light around you, you'll be disappointed. You have to have light facing you. However, once again, the zoom is amazing, even at night. That's what sticks with me. The zoom. Okay, going further, what night mode does is that it highlights details. So there's a statue here. I always thought it was Atlas from the Greek legends. It's actually not. This is a nice shot. However, if you want to really see the muscle fibers of the statue, that's where the night mode comes in. So a regular shot, not many fibers and details. A night mode shot, you can definitely see the fibers of the statue. So the details are highlighted better by the night mode. This was a perfect example to remove this graffiti with Galaxy AI. You'll see that later. And this was a very dark scenario, once again, well put to light. Every once in a while, you find some weird reflections, and the ultra-wide camera may generate bigger light halos than we would have wanted to. But aside from that, not many objections, aside from the, well, selfie camera, unless you find a proper light source in front of your face. Unless that. So excellent low-light camera. All in all, not many objections, an evolution when it comes to the zoom and the night mode. By the way, the fireworks are added with Galaxy AI. And now let's talk about the video. So we have no less than 37 videos. Many of them are stabilization tests, and I'm actually impressed how the phone handled itself in all situations. This is 4K 60 frames per second. You can feel the steps, right, left. No trace of any sort of flicker or shakiness, which is quite fine. We also have steady mode tests, walking around tests, and also zoom tests. This is my favorite zoom test. Even at advanced levels, there is a bit of change of clarity once you go between the 3x camera and the 5x camera. But even at 10x or 20x, the image remains pretty crisp. Not only on this small screen, but also on the larger screen. So I feel that the video zoom has improved from the predecessor. Once again, the best selfie camera on the market. Vloggers will definitely appreciate it. And the highlight is that even the background remains pretty clear, not just the face, which is very expressive, well lit, detailed, and all the colors check out. Okay, more tests here. This is a time lapse. This is the time lapse, or better said hyperlapse. Another zoom test. You can definitely see the jump in clarity once you get to the 5x telephoto periscope camera, but after that things are pretty fluid, so there's not a drop in quality. Up to 5x you may notice a bit of a drop. Okay, let's see what else. You also have that feature which combines frames, which I mentioned before. This one. You can take several shots and stitch them together, like in order to create a vlog or things like that. So yeah, and this is the fence with its array of colors, excellently captured. By the way, no overexposure, no oversaturation, pragmatical colors like the Pixel used to have 2 years ago, for example, the Pixel 8 Pro. It reminds me of the Pixel 8 Pro. And also can fight the OnePlus 13, which had excellent colors thanks to Hasselblad and all that. Those are daytime videos. Let's see the low light videos. First of all, there's this one here, where there's a band playing. This is super steady deactivated, and there's someone playing an accordion. By the way, the microphones create a sort of surround around you. You can actually hear what's left, what's right, what's in front of you when you're listening to what you recorded. Stabilization remains top level even during the night, and the zoom actually shocked me. I was across a boulevard here and started zooming in, and even though it's night time, lots of moving cars and people, things are pretty impressive. This is 10x zoom. Still pretty clear. You would say it's an optical zoom. This is 5x, this is 3x, 2x, and finally 1x. Pretty impressive and detailed. And let's see what else. Here we have a capture which is a bit more weird because there are a bit of reflections and larger light halos. The reflections aren't as bad as the iPhone, I have to say. So all in all, it's pretty much like the S24 Ultra but with improved zoom. That's my impression. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the videos are concerned. I actually recorded this special video in the passage in order to use the sound eraser and erase either people's voices or the noise or even the music. So basically, close-ups and zoom and selfies are the largest improvements here, and macros, and of course a very crisp filming. Now let's talk about connectivity. Now, as far as connectivity is concerned, the phone obviously provides 5G support, but at the same time it comes with Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.4, GPS, GLONASS, BDS, Galileo, and QZSS, NFC, and at the bottom there's an USB-C 3.2 port with DisplayPort 1.2 support and OTG. It also has ultra wideband if you want to connect your smart tag. There's of course DeX wireless available here if you want to connect to keyboard, mouse and monitor to simulate a Windows-like environment. There's no infrared, sadly. So the phone actually has 2 nano SIM card slots, supports eSIM, and the calls are pretty loud and clear even though the earpiece is very small here at the top. We have a speed test here and we did a bunch of tests in Wi-Fi and as well as 5G, and you can see here the results. When it comes to 5G, we reached 838 megapsecond in downloads on Orange Romania and 143 megapsecond in uploads. When it comes to Wi-Fi, I expected actually more. We usually achieved 800 megapsecond, this time 678 when it comes to download and 501 when it comes to upload. And here we are with the software department. Everybody's talking about the stylus and everybody's talking about AI. So the S Pen has lost its Bluetooth abilities, has lost its battery, and has lost its air command. So you can no longer do this to navigate between camera modes. You can no longer take a photo of something by pressing on a button or do various gestures in the screen in the air to navigate in the interface. Nope, that's gone. The stylus is just for drawing, note-taking, scribbling and all that. So this is One UI 7.0 on top of Android 15, 7 years of Android updates, and it feels more clear, better organized and more transparent compared to other interfaces on the market. Honestly, it's the best interface to have right now compared to anything that the rivals are offering. So let's get to the novelty. One of the novelties is called Now Brief. So you can see Now Brief either as a band here which keeps you informed. This is the midday now brief. You have 3 of them. You have one in the morning with your energy score, news and weather. You have one midday showing this. You have one at night which recaps your day with photos, with calendar and things you do. So I'm saying all these apps just as an example. Your apps may be different than mine. It all depends on what you're doing and how you're using them at various moments in the day. The app learns and show you useful stuff. It can show your navigation towards your work and can show other useful information, and you can have here content to include. Moments, traffic updates are included, YouTube shorts, whatever. So relevant stuff for your daily commute and your daily relaxation and your daily start of the day. And these are some more Galaxy AI features which I'll get to in a minute now. Okay, so this is now brief, one of the novelties. Another one is called Drawing Assist. Basically, it's an evolution of what we had on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7. Here's Drawing Assist. So there are 3 input modes. This one here, I'm horrible at drawing, so excuse me for that. I can turn this into a watercolor painting, illustration, pop art, oil painting using AI. It's a stick figure still. I can make it a 3D cartoon. I can also upload something and turn that into art, even a selfie of a person. Okay, so that's 1, drawing. That's 2, uploading stuff. Let's say I upload this selfie, and we can generate comic, 3D cartoon, watercolor or sketch. This is a sketch. Which is pretty well done, to be honest. Resembles the person quite a lot. And finally, I can write words. Cat with a red feather cap, make it harder. When I did the unboxing, I wrote cat with a green cap or a green hat, trying to make it more difficult now. Oil painting. The same generative AI with words can be applied. Whoa, that's quite nice. Can be applied when you're doing, when you're creating a wallpaper. That's just one example. Okay, so aside from that, you have something called AI Select. AI Select is actually an evolution of a previous feature, which lets you take a screenshot of the screen and interact with it. So if you go here and do AI Select, you're going to use what's on the screen. I can tap or draw something to select it. So I can actually select this. And this can be anything. This can be something you see on your camera, something you see in your browser. I can look it up on the map. I can do generative edit. I can pin it, I can copy it, I can share it, I can download it. This is the generative edit, which I can use here. I can also sketch to image, basically turn a photo of a person into a sketch. Those are just some examples here. Basically, AI Select will analyze everything on the screen and let you cut something. You can, one of the best things about it is that if you go here and you have a video, like for example this clip here, and I can activate AI Select, I can actually go ahead and create a GIF from a video, which is pretty cool. Now there's also circle to search, which you probably already know. Keep the screen pressed and you can look up on Google what you circle on the screen. Once again, I can see something on YouTube, I can see something on Instagram. I see this phone here, I circle it, and I just found it online. It's a Motorola Moto G34. Now aside from that, circle to search also helps you with identifying a song, either playing it in the background, including TikTok, Reels and YouTube, not only around you, you can also hum it, and you can also translate what's on the screen in various languages. Useful for the browser. Speaking of browser, the browser itself gained a few AI features, so you can find them here. You can summarize, translate and read highlights aloud, which is pretty cool. And now let's see what else. Okay, so further, if you keep press the power button, you'll activate Google Gemini. Okay, it understood what I said. Let's go back. Write an essay about calico cats. I own a calico cat.
Cats.
Okay, let's try it again. Write an essay about calico cats.
Calico cats, a tapestry of color and mystery. Calico cats, with their vibrant patchwork coats, are a captivating sight. These feline beauties are not a breed, but rather a unique color pattern found in various domestic cat breeds.
Okay, so interactions with Gemini are in natural language. It can write essays for you, poetry, it can solve equations, generate images, correct source codes, and many more things. On the other hand, Bixby can mess around with the brightness, phone volume, smart objects around the house via SmartThings. Bixby is here, and I can also interact with it. Make the volume higher. It just did that. So it's more of a local experience, actually local and localized around you by interacting with your washing machine, with your light bulbs and all that's smart around you. Of course, there is also Galaxy AI here, which is manifested among other things here. Hi guys, this is GSMDome.com and I'm here with the review of the Samsung Galaxy S25, which has a larger screen of 6.9 inches compared to the 6.8 inches of its predecessor. This is a voice recorder which will be turned into text thanks to Galaxy AI. Okay, and we go here. Then, okay, you can transcribe, everything will become a text, and you can even sum it up summary with bullet points. It's useful if you're going to have some bullet points from an interview or a larger discussion. And then we have even more things. So if you're going into the note-taking application, which as you can see we have quite a few things here. So this is a piece of text. It's in Romanian, but we also have a variety of other texts here. You can even interact with PDFs. Let's say we have this text here. We press here and you can auto-format it, summarize it, check spelling and grammar, or translate it. But if I activate the keyboard, there are extra AI options here which have been reorganized interface-wise. You can correct the spelling and grammar, change the writing style. The text is too long, so we maybe select a shorter one. Let's find a shorter one here. Okay, so this is the writing style. Can be set to standard, email, social media, or comment, polite, casual, or professional, depends on what you want. You can use this change in order to, for example, write an email. That's just one example. Or maybe write a social media post. Right now it's changing my writing style and actually creating a few styles to choose from. This is the original, this is the professional, this is the casual, and this is the social with hashtags and emojis. This is the polite and this is the emojify. So that's pretty cool. Now, aside from that, you also have the composer, as I mentioned before, which just write a main idea. Okay, so write a post about Valentine's Day for social media or threads even. And you can post it online, have it rewritten, write a letter of intention, write a request for a vacation, a wedding invitation, and more. Okay, so this is the post, love is in the air, etc. Okay, now, aside from that, another novelty is audio eraser. So you probably saw the video I mentioned before. So if I go to videos, I can actually select more of them. We have this one here. Lots of stuff happening here. I press this, it analyzes the video, analyzes the scenes, and I can either reduce the wind or the noise. When it comes to my video, which I recorded at night, there were some musicians there and I was talking, so I have more to cut from here. I can reduce my voice and totally cut it or amplify it. I can cut the music or amplify it, and I can cut the noise or amplify it. So that's sound eraser for you. Very useful if you're going to concerts and things like that. Now, when it comes to the S Pen stylus, you can still do writing and drawing with it. You can go here, you can do screen write, create a new note. You can write buy milk. Of course, my handwriting is horrible. You can also do handwrite recognition. You can use special rows to keep your handwriting straight and turn it into digital text. There's also something called cross-app action. You're inside an app and you do a vocal command and expand to other apps. It feels like the Honor Magic Portal. And you can also do vocal search in a more natural way. Find a setting used for the always on display. Okay, so a bunch of results here, always on display at the bottom. You can also use the same search, more natural language in gallery, for example. And speaking of gallery, it still has a ton of smart Galaxy AI based feature for editing shots. This is just one example. Of course, you can erase people from the shots, do generative edit and sketch to image. So there was something here, a person crossing the street. I can do this. I can draw around this person. It identifies the person and I can move him or delete him. I can bring him back or once again move him. Anyway, that's the idea of editing photos. Something was similarly present last year. Aside from that, we have a fingerprint scanner in the screen of the ultrasonic variety, which is pretty snappy. I'm also using the face unlock here, and I promised you before to show you something cool. Not only the people eraser from before, I also want to show you a cool feature which allowed me to get rid of well, graffiti from a building. Let's see if I can find it. You have here a lot of art, by the way, things generated with AI, quite a lot of it. Okay, so let's say we have this graffiti here, and if you want to get rid of it, you can circle it and press this, and it's gone. And the way it generates the background is very smart because it identifies what it has to generate. For security, we have Samsung Knox and Vault. So yeah, that's about it. And it seems to be pretty cool if you ask me. This is the comparison. So yeah, it feels like it has evolved a bit when it comes to Galaxy AI and image removal. Okay, so it's time for the verdict. This is the Galaxy S25 Ultra. It's on the pro side, it's slimmer, lighter, narrower and more easy to handle. The screen is now better protected against reflections from the sun. It's very immersive and very bright. We have 7 years of Android updates. Galaxy AI is useful for productivity, summaries, corrections, mail suggestions and post suggestions. Galaxy AI also helps you communicate with foreign countries and generate art with AI. And we still have the best stylus on the market, even though we don't have Bluetooth anymore. When I say best stylus, I mean the comfiest, best for writing and drawing. One UI 7.0 is still the best implementation of Android, and we have the best selfie camera on the market, that's for sure, for bokeh, filming and selfies. Excellent stabilization of the main camera. Sound eraser is actually useful if you're filming at concerts, and we have a log capture for content creators. There's a variable aperture diaphragm in that Samsung dedicated application. We have evolved stereo speakers and fast connectivity. However, we will not stop here. There's more stuff to mention. So we have a generous battery, so generous battery life when it comes to the video playback. We have macros which are superior to the iPhone ones. I would say we have pragmatical colors and realistic in photos and videos, excellent zoom and appealing culinary shots, plus a very useful night mode. Once again, those are the pros. Now on the cons side, I have to mention that the S Pen doesn't have Bluetooth and control gestures. There's no charger in the box. Certification is just IP68. Charging is not really fast. The screen remains 8-bit, while the rivals have 10-bit. Snapdragon 8 Elite has throttling. Some drawbacks for the nighttime video and photo capture, where it's below the rivals when it comes to handling light sources. The camera captures too much light during the day. Some people may see that as too much contrast in the shots. And there's noise at some levels of zoom. Also be careful when you're filming with zoom, because the audio zoom may become annoying. So in the end, Galaxy S25 Ultra is even more of a niche than its predecessors. That's because it's more addressed to content creators, because it has log capture, variable aperture, sound eraser, and the stylus is now more focused on writing and drawing, not gesture. So somehow it doesn't appeal to travelers as much, because travelers used to put the phone somewhere on a wall and activate the camera from a distance. Aside from that, still great productivity, but Galaxy AI hasn't reached a 2.0 version, just an incremental update if you ask me. It's still a very good camera phone with an excellent night mode, and it's an honest phone when it comes to the color calibration. The new ultra-wide camera also delivers, but all in all, if you have an S23 Ultra or S24 Ultra, I wouldn't recommend the update, or rather that you wait a bit more. If you have an older phone or an iPhone or a OnePlus, you may be tempted to make the switch if it's not a new model. At the end, I'm happy that it's more easy to handle than its predecessor. That's my personal idea of what's best about it. Narrower, slimmer, lighter and comfier. And of course, best selfie camera on the market. That's it from us, GSMDome.com. Goodbye.